All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Danger Ranger podcast. I'm your host, Zach Allred, and today it's just me. No interviews for this week. Working on getting a couple buddies on. I've got friends, who've done, I've just about everything in regiment. It's just a matter of finding the right guy for the podcast, and a lot of dudes just don't want to, come on a podcast and talk about, being a ranger, which is fine. Totally understand it. But I do have there's a dude that's been asking about Camo, like 25 series, medics, obviously, and then working on getting a sniper and hopefully a dog handler on at some point in the near future, either, next couple months time frame kind of thing. So you'll notice that I have also shaved, clean shaven, got a haircut. It was just time to swap it out, change up the look. I've been growing my hair out since about December of 21. So almost, just a little over a year. Grows slow. But I just felt like it was a needed change that I needed to make. So no long hair, gonna keep it clean shaven for a bit and just rock with that look for a bit. So today we're just gonna talk about, I guess private life in regiment again. I made a video on, how to succeed in Ranger Regiment. And I've, talked about private life in a few other places, but there hasn't been like a dedicated video or podcast episode on exactly, how to succeed as a private and how not to get your shit pushed in constantly by your team leaders and your squad leader and just, make yourself into a good ranger. So the biggest thing that I would have to say is, this might, maybe not sound too crazy or insightful, is just be a normal dude. Like being personable and being, just a regular guy and being able to, hold a conversation, tell a joke, intelligently discuss things that exist outside of work, because you are going to be spending a lot of time with people. And not all of it's going to be, specifically ranger shit. You're not going to always be on the range. You're not going to always be, doing an FMP, full mission profile, basically just like a practice mission. You're not always going to be jumping out of planes. Like there's a lot of downtime, overseas and on training events and just in general in the COFs. Like there's a lot of downtime. And if you're one of those kind of introverted or kind of quieter kind of dudes, you're gonna have to learn how to kind of come out of your shell just a little bit. Like I was a very quiet person and kind of, socially awkward when I showed up, and it took a little bit for me to come out of my shell and to just be a normal kind of guy. That's really that's really a big one. That's going to take you a long ways if you're able to just be a normal person and hang out with the boys. That's going to help you a lot, because people are going to be more inclined to help you as a result. If you're an intelligent dude and well-spoken and are teachable, that's going to help you get a little bit more, I guess, attention, like positive attention from your team leaders and your tabs. They're like, okay, this guy's turned on, he's switched on, he gets it. He's a likable person. He's not some weirdo quiet dude. I'm gonna, impart my knowledge on this guy a little bit more so, because he's someone that I like more, So obviously if you're a quiet dude, you're still gonna get the same classes. I'm not trying to say that as a quiet dude, you're gonna fucking fail, but it is, you just gotta play the game a little bit. So the other thing is, you got to buy into the culture a little bit. So it's a very rambunctious and very type A masculine, kind of culture. And a lot of the platoons and companies, have like specific traditions or, what's the word? Kind of like they have like mascots maybe too, or like rivalries with the other platoons. You just got to kind of buy into those and buy into the culture and participate in, platoon parties, hanging out with your squad outside of work. That kind of thing is going to help. So knowing your company's airborne rangers in the sky, as well as if you have any particular ones from your platoon, knowing beyond just their names, like you'll learn your company's airborne rangers in the sky when you show up. And if you need to know more about them, you need to know like where they grew up, what other companies maybe they served with or served in, their family, what objective, potentially were they KIA on, like the story of that objective, stuff like that. Like knowing just beyond the surface level is gonna help make it more real for you. Obviously, the same advice as far as be a PT stud, absolutely applicable. If you can't pass a freaking PT test with flying colors, that should be your first priority over everything. Is be able to run minimum 35-minute 5 mile, be able to do max push-ups, max sit-ups, and max pull-ups. Like if you can do that, you're sitting pretty good. And it's just a matter of maintaining that. Some of the pitfalls that I've seen with privates personally, I've had to counsel and discipline some of my guys for dumb shit is, and it goes into the drinking thing, is underage drinking was a problem that I had to deal with some of my guys. So just, if you're going to do it, I'm not advocating for it, but if you're going to do it, don't be a fucking idiot about it. Don't be downtown, where your team leaders are going to be, because we're going to go to the same bars more than likely. And if I see you out, like, and I don't do something about it and something ends up happening that night, I can get in trouble. So it's not necessarily I'm trying to ruin your night or anything. It's just you are underage, and Ranger typically does dumb stuff when he's drunk if he doesn't know how to control his liquor, being underage. And then it falls on me if I saw you out that night. So just don't go downtown, if you're underage. Drink in the barracks if you're going to drink. Not telling you to drink. Not advice. And I think the other big one is, have a hobby outside of work. Obviously, your first and primary focus should be, preparing for Ranger School and, being good at your job. But, do other things besides hang out in the barracks and play video games. Learn a marketable and a profitable skill. Learn how to fish. Learn how to, go hunting. Go to the freaking beach if you're in 175. I don't know a whole lot of what y'all can do at 375 for fun, because Columbus is kind of not a good spot, but I know you can hunt out there at least. So get into some kind of hobby that's gonna, make you a more well-rounded person outside of work. This is maybe more general life advice, but, and then probably the last thing I would say is just keep a low social media presence. You can have social media, just, have your Instagram on freaking private. If you're going to be posting anything at all about the Army, have it on private. And then just don't post dumb shit. Like I have a buddy who has some privates who were, posting some really just cringy shit on their public. It's one thing if you post it and it's private, like whatever. But if it's, public and your freaking team leader can search your name up and see you just doing dumb shit on your Instagram, like it's not going to make you look good. So if you're going to do, post things, have it on private. Don't just be out being a dummy on the internet while you're in regiment. And that's not necessarily saying, you're posting about regiment, but just even like outside of work, posting about, life stuff. If it makes you look bad, it's going to reflect poorly on you when you come to work. So that's maybe a little bit out there in terms of, private advice, but it is something that I've seen. And then, last thing I would say is, if you have the time, and this maybe is more applicable to once you get your Ranger tab, because again, priority should be getting to Ranger School as soon as possible, is taking advantage of the tuition assistance that the Army gives you. Like the Army gives you a set amount of money that doesn't cut into your GI Bill, that you can use to go to school concurrently while being in the Army, and you can potentially finish your bachelor's degree while you're in, if you're dedicated and you time allocate. So this kind of would be a good replacement for a hobby, or like something outside of work that you can do that's actually productive outside of playing video games. Unless you're getting paid to play video games or like a streamer or something. Tuition assistance would be a good, option for the people that choose to go to college. Not a lot of people know about it. Your base should have an education center on it, and your battalion will have a liaison type person in headquarters that you can go to and find out about, what programs are the best, which will give you the most credit for, Army schools that you've done. You do get credit for like basic training and Ranger school, I'm pretty sure. So look into that. And I would say, the last thing is just don't take shit personal. Like, your team leaders are going to be dicks. Your tabs are probably going to be dicks. They're not necessarily doing it because they hate you. They're doing it because that's what's going to forge you into a better person. And we don't have time necessarily to fuck around with, explaining why you're fucked up in a nice way. So it's easier just to break it down and, maybe sound like we're insulting you. But that is oftentimes the fastest way to get through to someone, is to, just let them know straight up bluntly, what they're screwing up and that they're an idiot, and then fix them. Here's how to do it right, kind of thing. So don't take shit personal. Like, it's rare that you're actually going to be hated unless you're a legitimate screw up. And it's rare that you're going to be hated by your leadership and your guys in your squad, because they want you to succeed. Like, that's at the end of the day, they want you to succeed, and they're going to be shit testing you and testing you until, you get your tab. And even then, like, it doesn't really stop. Like, you still got to keep performing. But it's just a continuation of RASP to a degree, if you wanted to look at it like that. Is they want to see what you're made of, and they're going to, make your life kind of hard until you prove that you are, someone worthy of the beret. You prove yourself in RASP, to regiment as a whole, it's like, okay, this person signed off, this person meets the standards, bare minimum kind of thing. Push them to the battalion, and then the battalion, it's a continuation of RASP, and that's how you should look at it. Is you need to be earning your beret every day. You need to be performing, and you need to show up and, be the best that you can be. The whole freaking recruiting slogan. But that's about it for private, advice. That should be enough. And if you want me to clarify or go into more detail in the comments, let me know. I can absolutely do that. We'll finish this one up. Short podcast today. I've been posting a lot of long ones, so we'll keep this one a little bit more condensed. We got the Patrol Base Part 2 coming out this Friday. And then next week, I will be going to Vegas to the Grant Cardone 10X Growth Con. Don't know if I'll be able to put content out during that. That's going to be my focus. Attending that, networking, stuff like that. So potentially, I'll try and pre-record it, either one of the two, either the podcast or the lethality series. So there's at least one video going out next week. But other than that, hope this is enlightening for all you dudes that are either privates in regiment or soon to be privates in regiment. Personal advice, so take it as you will. If you want me to elaborate again, hit me in the comments or DM me on Instagram at @TheZachRed. The link will be in the description here. So, but that's it. I'll see you all on Friday. Have a good one.